You know that exact moment in the morning right before the sun is fully up?
Oh, yeah. It can be pretty brutal.
Right. Your alarm goes off, it is 6 a.m., and last night you promised yourself with absolute ironclad certainty that you were going to get up and go for a run.
But right now, in the cold light of dawn, that promise feels completely ridiculous.
Exactly. It feels almost like, I don't know, like it was made by a completely different
A
person.
very overly optimistic person.
Yeah, so you reach over, you hit the snooze button just once, you think.
Right, just 5 more minutes.
But then you hit it again and a third time. And suddenly at 7:30, you're still in bed and you are endlessly scrolling through TikTok, feeling this heavy, familiar wave of frustration wash over you.
We have all been there. It is a universal experience.
It really is. And today, we are answering exactly why that happens. And we are using a very unexpected source to do it.
Yeah, we are dissecting a script from an English learning show called Easy Talk English.
Right. And on the surface, it features two hosts, Sarah and Mark, along with a vocabulary expert named Crystal. And they're just teaching English words to non-native speakers.
But if you look past the basic vocabulary lesson,
Hmm.
what they are actually teaching is an absolute masterclass on the psychology of human behavior.
It really is. It tackles that exact alarm clock scenario by pointing out that it feels like we have two people living inside our heads.
One who desperately wants to be healthy and productive.
And one who just wants to stay under the warm blankets and watch videos. Now, before we unpack why the TikTok watching brain almost always wins that battle, I want to set a very specific ground rule for our deep dive today.
Okay, I think I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, I mean, this source material has this beautiful underlying philosophy of taking things, step by step.
Right.
So if we want you, the listener, to actually absorb these psychological tools and rethink your daily goals, we cannot rush through this.
No, we really can't.
So we are intentionally slowing down the pace today. We are going to take our time. We are going to let these ideas breathe.
I fully support that because to truly understand the architecture of our own habits, we have to look closely and slowly at the foundational cracks.
And the biggest crack.
The biggest crack, the reason we fail in that 6 a.m. moment is because we rely on a profoundly flawed tool.
Motivation.
Exactly.
Huh.
We rely on motivation.
And motivation is, well, it's a deceiver.
It really is.
The script makes this crucial distinction, pointing out that motivation is nothing more than a feeling. It's just a temporary spark.
Which is exactly why it fails us. Think about it. On Sunday night, when you are setting that alarm, your brain is flooding with dopaminergic anticipation.
You are visualizing the ideal version of yourself.
Right. And that chemical spike feels incredibly powerful. So you assume it will still be there in the morning.
But feelings, by their very biological nature, are transient.
Exactly. By dawn, the temperature has dropped, you are groggy, the dopamine is gone, and the feeling has completely evaporated.
So if you rely on a temporary chemical spike to get you out of bed,
You will fail the moment the chemistry changes.
which leaves us with a rather uncomfortable reality. If motivation is just a ghost that disappears when things get difficult, what is the actual mechanism that gets us out of bed?
Well, the source script says it is discipline.
But honestly, when I hear the word discipline, I don't feel inspired at all.
Most people don't.
I picture like a strict military instructor just screaming at me. It feels like self-deprivation.
And that is the cultural baggage we all carry. In the script, the host Mark admits the exact same thing. He views discipline as a punishment.
Right, but Sarah, the other host, offers this phenomenal psychological reframe.
She does. She explains that true discipline isn't a punishment at all. It is a profound form of self-love.
Self-love.
Yes, it is the act of taking care of your future self.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting because I want to push back on that. Let's be entirely real for a second.
Let's do it.
Waking up at 6 a.m. in the freezing cold does not feel like self-love.
No, it feels miserable.
It feels awful. How do we reconcile that immediate visceral misery with this abstract philosophical idea of future self-care?
By understanding a cognitive bias called temporal discounting.
Okay, break that down for me.
Our brains are hardwired by evolution to prioritize immediate comfort over long-term benefit. In the Stone Age, if you had food and warmth right now, you consumed it because tomorrow wasn't guaranteed.
Right, survival of the fittest.
Exactly. So when you are shivering in bed, your primitive brain is screaming that this is a threat to your survival.
But discipline is the higher cognitive function stepping in.
Yes, it is your prefrontal cortex recognizing that the slight temporary discomfort of the cold floor is a necessary trade,
To prevent the massive long-term discomfort of poor health.
or the psychological pain of constantly letting yourself down.
Yeah.
It is self-love because you are choosing to protect your future identity over your present comfort.
Protecting your future identity. That makes a lot of sense. But there is a paradox here.
What's that?
Well, if we agree that motivation is unreliable,
Which it is.
and we agree that discipline is about protecting our future self, why do we so spectacularly fail when we try to implement it?
Ah, yes.
The source material calls this the Monday to Tuesday failure.
It's so common.
It's that familiar moment where you decide, okay, tomorrow my life changes. I am cutting all sugar, I am running 5 miles, I am studying for 2 hours, and no more social media.
And by Tuesday afternoon, you're eating a donut while scrolling Instagram, feeling worse than before.
Exactly. The classic self-help advice always tells us that discipline is a muscle. You go to the gym, you lift a heavy weight, and the muscle grows.
Right.
But if we follow that logic, the Monday to Tuesday failure is the equivalent of walking into the gym on your very first day and trying to bench press 500 pounds.
You don't build the muscle, you just tear it.
You completely destroy it.
I actually think we need to discard that gym metaphor entirely,
Really? Why is that?
because it implies that discipline requires massive, strenuous exertion. A better way to look at it, and this aligns perfectly with the psychology behind the English script we are analyzing, is to think of discipline not as a muscle, but as a trust account with yourself.
A trust account. Unpack that for me.
Think about a friend who constantly makes plans with you and then, cancels at the last minute.
Oh yeah, after the 4th or 5th time, you just stop believing them.
Exactly. Their words lose all value, and we do the exact same thing to our own brains.
Wow. So when you declare you are going to change 10 massive habits overnight,
Your brain knows you don't have the cognitive budget to maintain that.
and when you inevitably fail by Tuesday, you are making a withdrawal from your internal trust account.
You are proving to your brain that your promises mean absolutely nothing.
So to cross that bridge, to go from doing nothing to doing something without relying on a massive spike of motivation, we have to start making massive promises we can't keep.
Right.
We have to start making deposits into that trust account.
Precisely. Which is where the script introduces a critical behavioral design concept,
The 2-minute rule.
the 2-minute rule.
Now, if you are listening to this right now, you are probably familiar with the 2-minute rule. It's the idea of shrinking a new habit down so it takes less than 2 minutes to complete.
It's brilliant in its simplicity.
The script gives some really great examples, like if you want to read more, don't commit to a chapter, just read 1 page.
Or if you want to start running, your only goal is to put on your running shoes.
Right, but I want to push on this because it sounds almost too simplistic.
Okay, go ahead.
If my goal is to get fit, does just putting on my shoes really matter if I don't actually go for the run?
What's fascinating here is that it matters immensely.
Really?
Yes, because we have to look at what is actually happening in the basal ganglia.
That's the part of the brain responsible for habit formation, right?
Exactly. The brain has a highly sensitive threat detection system when it comes to energy expenditure.
Right, because it wants to conserve energy.
Yes. So a 5-mile run registers as a massive energetic threat. Your brain will throw up every psychological barrier possible to stop you from doing it.
It creates friction.
Massive friction. But putting on your shoes,
That doesn't register as a threat?
no, the activation energy required is incredibly low. So you bypass the brain's alarm system entirely.
That is so interesting.
And here is the neurological secret. The basal ganglia does not care about the size of the action. It only cares about the firing of the neurological loop. Cue, routine, reward.
So by putting on the shoes, you are firing the loop. You are basically casting a vote for your new identity.
Yes. The source script beautifully refers to this as making a small promise to yourself.
The small promise.
When you keep that small promise, your brain releases a microdose of dopamine. It's a completion reward.
You told yourself you would put on the shoes. You put on the shoes.
You prove that you're reliable. You just made a deposit into your internal trust account.
And because you bypass the initial friction, momentum naturally takes over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once the shoes are on, the brain thinks, well, we're already dressed for it. We might as well step outside.
So what does this all mean? It means it's not about the 2 minutes of reading or the act of tying the shoelaces.
No.
It is entirely about proving to your own brain that you are not a liar. It is establishing the identity of someone who does what they say they are going to do.
Exactly. And that is how you build true discipline without destroying yourself in the process.
Okay. I really love the concept of the trust account. It completely reframes the starting line.
It does.
But if we accept that we just need to keep small 2-minute promises, we still have to address the elephant in the room.
Really tough days.
Yeah, there are days when even a 2-minute task feels insurmountable.
Oh, absolutely.
You come home from work, you have been putting out fires all day, and your brain is utterly fried.
You don't want to read one page.
You don't want to put on the shoes, you just want to collapse. What happens when your internal battery is at absolute zero?
That brings us to the most vital lesson in this entire breakdown. And it requires us to look specifically at the vocabulary words the expert, Crystal, highlights in the source material.
Right, specifically the relationship between two key words:
Willpower and environment.
willpower and environment.
Most people believe that if they fail to resist temptation at 8 p.m., it is a moral failing.
That they are just weak.
Right. But psychology shows us that willpower is a finite cognitive resource. It is known as ego depletion.
Ego depletion.
Every single time you make a decision during the day, what to wear, how to respond to an annoying email, resisting the donuts in the break room, you are spending cognitive currency.
So by the time you get home, the budget is completely spent.
Completely.
So when you are staring at a box of cookies on your kitchen counter at 8 p.m. and you eat them, it's not because you are weak.
No.
It's because the cognitive mechanism required to say no has literally run out of fuel.
Precisely. Which means the solution is not to try and magically generate more willpower.
The solution is to change your environment.
Exactly. The script emphasizes moving from being reactive to being proactive, another key vocabulary word they teach.
You know, it makes me think of like a river's current.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, if you leave that box of cookies sitting right there on the counter, you are basically jumping into the river and forcing yourself to swim upstream.
You are fighting nature.
You are using pure, exhausting willpower to fight the natural current of your environment.
And you will eventually drown.
Right. But if you take those cookies and throw them in the trash, or just never buy them in the first place.
Or if you want to study English, so you leave the textbook directly on your pillow instead of hidden on a bookshelf.
Yes. Or if Instagram is keeping you awake, so you buy an old school alarm clock and leave your phone charging in the kitchen.
Exactly.
When you do those things, you are physically changing the direction of the river.
The environment does the work for you.
Suddenly, the current is pushing you naturally toward the exact goal you want to reach. You don't have to swim hard at all.
You just float into the good habit.
And the bad habit becomes the one that requires strenuous effort.
That river analogy is brilliant because it perfectly captures what environmental design truly is.
Yeah.
If discipline is the act of taking care of your future self, then designing your environment is the ultimate expression of that care.
You are anticipating that your future self will be exhausted, depleted, and vulnerable to temptation.
So your present self builds a safe environment to catch them when they fall.
You are showing up for that tired version of you before they even know they need the help. That is such a deeply compassionate way to look at habit building.
It really is. But there is one final piece to this puzzle that we cannot ignore.
What's that?
Because no matter how perfectly you design your environment, and no matter how consistently you practice the 2-minute rule,
You are still human.
you're still human. You will inevitably have a day where the friction is too high, the trust account gets overdrawn, and you fail.
You will hit the snooze button 3 times and watch TikTok.
You will. And the script addresses this directly with the concept of resilience.
Ah, resilience.
In behavioral psychology, there is a phenomenon often referred to as the what the hell effect.
Oh, I know this one.
Most of us do.
It's the moment you eat one single cookie on your diet, and instead of stopping, your brain goes, well, what the hell, the day is already ruined.
And you proceed to eat the entire box.
Exactly.
It is a destructive spiral born from an all-or-nothing mindset. When we fail, our instinct is to punish ourselves.
Because we think guilt will motivate us next time.
Right. But neurological studies show that self-punishment actually spikes our cortisol levels.
Our stress hormone.
Yes. And what does the brain seek when it is highly stressed?
It seeks immediate familiar comfort.
Which usually drives us right back to the bad habit we were trying to avoid in the first place.
So beating yourself up over missing a workout actually makes you mathematically more likely to miss the next one.
Yes. The source material advises a completely different approach.
What do they suggest?
When you fail, the most resilient response is a gentle, neutral acknowledgement.
Just new.
You strip away the moral judgment. You simply say to yourself, okay, that happened. I missed the mark today. I will start again tomorrow.
Wow.
The most disciplined people in the world do not have perfect streaks. They just never let a stumble turn into a collapse.
They never quit for long.
They just never quit for long.
So let's step back and look at the entire architecture we've uncovered from this seemingly simple English lesson.
Let's do it.
If you want to fundamentally change how you approach your mornings, or your work, or your health, you have to abandon the illusion of motivation.
That temporary spark will always burn out.
Instead, you build a trust account with yourself through the 2-minute rule. You stop trying to lift 500 pounds on day one.
You make a tiny, manageable promise.
Just putting on the shoes, just reading one page. And you keep it, proving to your brain that you are reliable.
You protect your finite cognitive budget by engineering your environment.
You stop swimming upstream against temptation, and you redirect the current so that the good choices are effortless.
And the bad choices require actual work.
And finally, when you inevitably stumble, you refuse to engage in the what the hell effect.
You don't punish yourself.
You practice resilience, you acknowledge the misstep without judgment, and you simply start again.
Beautifully summarized.
So if you are listening to this right now, whether you are trying to learn a new language, like the students in our source script, whether you are trying to write a book, or whether you just want to stop hitting the snooze button, you do not need to undergo a magical overnight transformation.
No, you just need to lower the friction.
Which leaves us with a rather profound question to consider as we wrap up today's deep dive.
It does. We have established that true discipline is a compassionate act of protecting your future self.
Right.
And we have explored how powerfully our immediate environment dictates our choices when our cognitive budget is empty.
Yes.
So if we accept both of those scientific realities, then we have to reconsider those days when we feel intensely, overwhelmingly lazy.
Those days where getting off the couch feels physically impossible.
Exactly. We are so quick to label that feeling as a deep-seated character flaw.
We really are.
But based on everything we've unpacked today, are those feelings actually a moral failure?
Or are they simply the natural symptom of a poorly designed environment?
Exactly. Are you actually lazy? Or are you just exhausted from swimming upstream against a current you forgot you had the power to change?
It makes you look at that 6 a.m. alarm clock entirely differently, doesn't it?
It really does.
Maybe the problem isn't that you lack the willpower of an Olympic athlete. Maybe the problem is simply that the phone is resting on the nightstand right next to your pillow instead of charging out in the kitchen.
It's definitely something to think about.
Take a look at your own environment today. See exactly where the current is pushing you.
Slowly and deliberately.
We will catch you on the next deep dive.